Good day, welcome to the Dev Report. I just wanted to give you an update about the video you're about to watch. We recorded it in May of this year, but we didn't get a chance to edit it, so we're going to release it now just for completion's sake. So just keep that in mind. We will have a new video up in the next couple of weeks about what we did during the summer for episode 18. Thanks. Good day and welcome to the Dev Report. This is the monthly update for the turn-based grand strategy game Sunset of Lievnos. This is the update for the month of April 2018. My name is Tyson Villeneuve. I'm the programmer for Sunset of Lievnos, and I'm here with the team.
I'm Erica, and I make all the artwork.
Justin, programmer 1.
And Kelsey, programmer 2.
That is correct. So we're hideously late, and part of the reason is because I was originally going to be a little bit late, and then I found out, or we planned that I could get everyone together. So yeah, I figured it's since nobody's like banging at the door for the next episode, I figured it'd be better just to get everyone, because we actually have a decent amount kind of to talk about update wise. So I guess we can start with a little bit of update on the game, and I guess April was really, for all intents and purposes, quite slow and a challenging month. So on my end, part of it was certainly a little bit of burnout, and that was, I guess, part of my problem was the expectations. You know, like when I first started the content creation tool months ago, I thought it was going to take me a couple of months, and it just is not a small, easy endeavor.
This is an ongoing issue.
It's big.
Yes.
So I was just getting a little bit frustrated, but I think settled into the fact that this is going to take a decent amount of time. Not only this part, but the game. And so I've said this before, is that I'm going to stop putting timelines on things.
I think we said that probably every single podcast for like the first 10 podcasts.
Yeah, I think that was not good. And then I have the tendency to do it. And when I do that, I set up the expectation that is impossible.
Yeah.
And then when I fail that, then I get upset.
Yeah.
And I lose motivation. So I really got to focus on not putting those things up, because it's not the same. Our situation is not the same as a game studio. Right. Where it's like, oh, here's your milestones, and there's somebody waiting, and like there's nobody really waiting.
And we have to keep reminding ourselves that there's like not 12 of us.
There's only and we're all really learning still.
Yeah.
You know,
and we all have jobs too.
And we all have jobs, and we all have bills to pay, and we all have all these other things, and really we're trying to make this happen in a very small amount of time we have extra.
Yeah.
So we have to align the expectations for that. For me, I'm just excited and frustrated, right? Like I'm so excited to get it out, but so it's frustrating when things take longer than you think. But I think that's where I'm at, and so I think I'm going to be okay, like going forward with that new idea. But for the last couple of months, I had to do some contract work, again, you know, paying the bills, and sometimes it makes sense to take a contract, a short-term contract, make some money, get out of debt, so that, you know, down the line in a year or two, hopefully we'll be in a better position to maybe spend more time on the game. So
long story short,
not much happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the long story short. But the prospect for the future looks good. So let's jump into Justin's story. Well, actually, you know what? I think your story is going to be short.
Mine's very short because really, very little has been accomplished.
Yeah.
So I've also been working on other projects. So,
yeah. So now, this is a couple of months away, but hopefully the summer will be nice to you, and you'll be able to get some time.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the benefit of working at the college, is that I get the summers off. So
yeah. So hopefully we'll be able to be in a position where we can give you a decent chunk of work and get some stuff done there. So and we are probably going to, within the next week or two, realign our goals and stuff like that.
Yes, we do need to go through and make new lists and sort of reprioritize things.
And
we haven't done that in a long time.
Part of that is going to be adopting project management software, which we've been doing, you know, with Excel sheets, and it's getting clumsy, and it's very hard to communicate internally with us. So we did find one that's open source, and we have a server and we have set it up, but we're having a few technical problems. So I think that's going to be Justin's first task next week or whatever, is to figure those out. So let's jump into Justin's tale, his tale of woe for basic what?
We haven't actually talked about anything over here. Oh, I guess we did. Never mind.
For Erica?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done
There's
anything.
nothing there. So Justin's story, he took a new job, a programming job. This was 6 months ago. Is that right?
Yeah, that one it got me to Calgary, which was good, and I'm glad that I took it. It was good for some of the project management and see how they work, because it's a dev shop. But it was a consulting job, so basically, if that's what you want to do, it's good for that. It's just long term. That's not where my interests or my passions lie, and it took a lot of extra time outside of work.
Well, that was the big problem. Like, you have hardly worked on the game at all since you've had that job, because you come home from work and ultimately you have to keep working, and it's not working. It's like, but some of it's research, some of it's all these other things.
Yeah, because I got to learn a lot of stuff, because we have quite a bit of deadlines, and if you don't know what you're doing, you got to spend more time to learn it to be able to do it, because clients expect that when you're in consulting. So that was a pretty good learning curve for me, different experience, so I'm glad I did that. But now I'm back to a regular programming job.
So you got a new job like
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I just finished 2 weeks. So this will be, back to what I was doing. So I can have a nice little schedule again. And because now I have a little bit of a longer commute, so I started actually reading some audiobooks. And the one that I just finished was about habits. So that's one thing that I'm going to try and implement into my daily life, is because it helped me understand how the mind works, how the brain actually handles habits, and a lot of the things that we do, you're kind of conscious that you're doing them, but you do them automatically without thinking. Mm-hmm. So I guess part of that is understanding the cue. So what is triggering what happens, why you're doing it, the reward. And you just got to do it consistently enough to get over it. So I think my first step is to understand these things. Like when I get home, I'm usually like a little bit sluggish, and there's really no reason for it. And then I have a snack, and then I want to have a nap. So why am I feeling that way? What time? And then you need to figure out what the trigger is. So those are some of the things I'm going to try to do and implement that into working on the game a bit more.
Okay, so ultimately the end goal is to be productive in the evening and form new habits for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is something that I've done like months ago in order to do the exact same thing. But on my end, like energy levels are always a huge thing, and my health is an issue, just because, not like I'm sick or diseased, but just I sit around at a desk all day, and and it's starting to, I'm starting to feel it, like some slight weight gain, and my energy levels are low, and all these kind of things. So I started, I guess 3 weeks ago, riding my bike to work, which is, I'm not 100% sure the distance yet, but it's somewhere in the 15 to 20 kilometer round trip per day. So so I'm hoping, and likely it's the case, that I'll be in better mental and physical condition in the coming months. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think our winter was just hard for everybody.
It was a tough winter. It was long.
It was just so long.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely another thing. And when you're bogged down and frustrated already with some things, then to throw a layer of cold and darkness for that long, it's tough. So that's exciting. And I think what we're going to do with Justin is, once I'm done my contract work, Justin's going to work on our project management tool. We actually do have it set up. There's a couple of things that are not working. Our email notifications, which are kind of a big deal of the whole thing.
Because without that, you can't log in. Really.
Yeah. So we can't invite people. Like, we can't invite you to join, because we could give you the server URL, but we can't connect the projects without having that email linked up. So because you have to authorize it, and without sending an email, we can't get you to authorize the account, which is the problem. So we have to figure out those mail settings is ultimately the issue. So I think will be your job next week while I finish this contract job. And then you and I are both going to take content creation tool. Because at this point, the game hasn't been worked on in a little while. which is unfortunate, but it's what's happened. But because of my work on the content creation tool, I've actually changed the data structure dramatically. Like, we thought we had designed it all really well, but we missed a lot of things, and those things came out when we actually had to sit down and connect the data, connect the dots, and make sure everything was accounted for, and then design questions came up. So so all of those things are answered now. We know that stuff, but the game doesn't deal with it anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, a big part of the game is the data behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So
all the data that we have been importing is the data access layer, and the code that gets that data is going to all be broken.
yeah, but I mean, what we've been doing is still technically part of the game, because without it, we need the data.
For sure. The reason why we stopped working on the game is because we couldn't move forward in the game anymore. So it was a necessary step. But I guess what I'm saying is that you won't be able to work on the game while I work on the content creation tool, because they're two different. So I think we're better off both tackling the content creation tool. When we're done, then we hit the game again, update it with what we have to use the new data and the new data access layer, and then move forward again with the game. And so yeah, I think that's a good plan there. And on Kelsey's front, we're going with a different strategy. So now you had when we first started, you had some frustrations with some of the things. You want to go ahead and explain kind of your place when we started working on this, and what you're feeling there?
Well, it ultimately, just from like sort of working on things, like I got used to like the language and the grammar and all that stuff.
Right.
But I was kind of struggling with how the program sort of flows and fits together,
Yeah.
right? And so Sunset of Leonos was just a huge game.
It's a massive,
and it was already, a lot of it was already done, so I couldn't really find out how it worked from beginning to end. So like I kind of sort of wanted to, I guess, figure that out a little bit better. So that sort of led into the basically converting 1-year-old games from Flash into to Unity.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do there. So he's been working on that for what, a couple, 2-3 weeks?
Be 3 weeks or so now.
Sure. So I made a poker game called Costume Vacation quite a few years ago with a friend, and so it was made in Flash. And I think so the idea is he's going to take that game, because there's no design work needs to be done on it. It's all there. All the art is there, all the assets are there, and everything. And so he's going to take that game and port it to Unity, which will be his learning exercise in how to make Unity games and how to build Unity.
Well, the thing is, it's just because it'll be like a self-contained, I'll be able to see the workflow from beginning to end. It's not a huge thing, like one guy could do it pretty easily. But then sort of the second thing to come out of that is that, like I want to try and utilize the Unity engine more.
Right.
Like, and try and do that, so then they can learn the Unity aspect more as well.
Yeah. So if you're unfamiliar, we are using Unity, but we're not using the IDE like at all. So we're kind of, I'm an artist, but I'm a coder at heart. And so when we went into Unity, we're like, I don't want to touch the IDE. In fact, it was weird. Like, it was hard to learn at the beginning. I couldn't close the gap between how do we get our code to work with this front end that you can build with the IDE. And so ultimately we just circumnavigated it. We went completely around it, and everything is in code. Like, when you look at our Unity window, there's nothing there. You have to run the game, because the game constructs everything from code. It loads all the graphics, it loads everything. There's definitely some pros to that, because originally when we started, a Unity project was a binary file, which is very difficult to do version control on. And so since then, they've turned them to XML, so you can actually merge them a lot easier. But when we were having multiple people working on one scene, it just didn't work. It was disgusting, and so in order to do a nice merge, we just ultimately just didn't have scenes. We didn't change the scene. You load the one scene, and then the game engine handles it, and so you can work on whatever piece of the code you want and not have to worry about wrecking that scene. So that was one of our original reasons. Secondly, of course, you just have high precision. Like you can type in a number in the code and then it just works. So, but the downside, as we found out, it takes a long time to build your interfaces from code. You have to run it, wait for it to compile, navigate to it in the game, see if it works. And sometimes you want to bump it a pixel or two, and it takes a long time. And so far you're finding, because the exercise Kelsey's doing is using the IDE to leverage it, and so far you're finding it quite useful in some things. So ultimately, we're probably going to try and close the gap between them, bring ours closer to using the IDE and to save time and stuff like that. So anyways, the other nice thing about this is that we might be able to charge $2 or $3 for the game once it's done, and have a little bit of income on the side, potentially, which will just help us get to our goals faster.
From Costume Vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the plan there. So I'm excited about that. Again, we're not worried about timelines. We're more interested in him learning things right now, so that when he does come back to the game, he's going to be able to contribute significantly. So that's the update and the plan on that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else really that we want to discuss, or is that about it?
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our update for right now.
Yeah. So I don't know when I'm gonna do. It's kind of threw our schedule off a little bit, because we technically should record another podcast in like 2 weeks, but I'm gonna be in New York.
That's right.
Which will be cool. For a week there, doing on a vacation of sorts. So I won't be here to record one. So we might bump it a little bit later into June, and I don't know. Actually, you will be down on June 9th. We're doing things, not great things. I have to do some construction-y type of yard work things.
Slave labor.
Yeah, I got him, thank God. Or it would take me probably weeks to do. So I don't know if we're going to have time to record a podcast when you're down. I'm almost thinking likely not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
You never know.
So we'll see. But otherwise, it might be a little bit later next month. But we'll try and get going. There might be not a whole lot to talk about either. But we'll try and get back on schedule with that. Just try and get them at the beginning of the month again. But the next one will probably be late as well. So, but other than that, I guess that's it for this month. So, yeah, stay tuned, and thanks for tuning in. See you later.
See ya.